Okay, what's up?
Assalamualaikum, myself Bakar Randhawa and I welcome you on the platform of telemedical education. Here with me is Amna Anwar, our research team head. How's you, Amna?
Hi everyone, this is Amna Anwar. I'm head of research at Tele Education. I'm fine. How are you, Wakar?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। अच्छा गाइस, देखो हमारा प्लान ये है कि हम लोग जो रिसर्च सेशंस कंडक्ट कर रहे हैं उसका बेसिक्स जो है वो आमना अनवर आपको रिकॉर्डिंग्स करके 3 लेक्चर प्रोवाइड करेंगी। ठीक है, पहला लेक्चर हमारा हो गया है, अब हम सेकंड लेक्चर रिकॉर्ड करने लगे और उसके बाद थर्ड जो होगा कंक्लूडिंग सेशन वो होगा। ठीक है, बेसिक जो मेन प्लान है वो आप टेलीमेड सीटीयू फेसबुक पेज चेक कर सकते हैं, वहां पे सारी डिटेल्स दी हुई हैं, लाइव वेबिनार्स भी दिए हुए हैं जो आमना अनवर खुद लीड कर रही है, इनकी रिसर्च टीम लीड कर रही है। सो थम्स अप फॉर यू पीपल एंड बेस्ट विशेस फॉर फ्यूचर प्रोजेक्ट्स। एक्चुअली मेन प्लान हमारा ये है कि विद एम एम्पावरिंग मेडिकोस प्रोफेशनली हम लोग इंगेज करना चाहते हैं मेडिकल स्टूडेंट्स को, मेडिकल कम्युनिटी को, स्पेशली एम्फसाइजिंग एंड फोकसिंग ऑन अंडर ग्रेजुएट रिसर्च, यानी कि बेसिक मेन ट्रेंड बनाना चाहते हैं कि मेडिकल स्टूडेंट्स अपनी रिसर्च खुद पेपर पब्लिकेशन तक सारा कुछ खुद करें और इंशाल्लाह हम लोग ही सिखाएंगे आपको, ये मेन बेसिक चीज है ना। हमारी जो रिसर्च हेड है आमना अनवर, सो ओवर टू यू आमना, कैन यू प्लीज प्रोसीड अहेड? थैंक यू।
Yes. So just adding on to the point, Wakar, that you made is very important, is the fact of raising awareness, especially in Pakistan. You know, countries such as the UK and US are already ahead. First, people who are in first year and second year, students of medical education have already, you know, started on their research projects, and we're starting it in fourth year and third year. So having some sort of awareness is very crucial, actually. All right. So starting with our second series, can you see my screen at all?
Yes, it's okay now.
Okay. So the second lecture in our series of these Zoom meetings is starting with the recap. You basically have learned the basic concepts in the lecture that we recorded previously, understanding of keywords, common errors students make. Now, starting off with the cover. Having a cover letter is essential. They can make your paper look more professional and should be included where possible. They will not be counted as contributing to the length of your paper, and the cover page will typically contain the title of your paper, your name and your name of the professor and the due date. So to the right, sorry, I have showed you a sort of a picture of how you should style your cover letter. So as you can see, a third of the way down of the page, you should have your title centered, and several lines later, you should have your name, course, and date. Right. Now your intro. It should include questions that have answers to what, so what, and why should the reader care? What is the paper about? The basic flow of the instruction starts with the general and then moves more specific. Now, the first thing to do is to establish a sort of ground. What is the field of work? Why is this important, and what already has been done? Establishing a niche, and this indicates a gap, or it raises a question or challenges prior work in this group. Okay, occupy that niche and outline its purpose and announce to represent your paper. Also add describing previous researches and establishing them. So to describe previous researches, for a paper describing original research, you instead provide an overview of the most relevant research that has already been conducted. This is a sort of a miniature literature review. And establishing the next step to clarify how your own research fits in this and what problem it addresses. Now, what is methodology? A lot of people still don't understand and still can't grasp the concept of methodology. What is methodology? This is basically a chapter that explains what you did and how you did it, allowing your readers to evaluate the reliability and validity of your research. And what does it consist of? It typically consists of the type of research you did and how you collected your data, how you analyzed it, and the tools or materials that you used in your research. Your rationale for choosing these methods are also included in methodology. Now, objectives. It should be 3 objectives maximum, 3 to 4. It depends upon your research paper and how long your research paper should be. It should be solid and concise. No irrelevant information should be in the objectives. It's very simple and it's very to the point. And hypothesis. Now, what is a hypothesis? A hypothesis is basically a statement of expectation or prediction that will be tested by research. Is it needed? In a lot of papers, it's not needed. In some of them, it's needed. That depends upon what type of paper you're publishing. And your mentor or your supervisor should tell you if your hypothesis is needed in this or not. Typically, the types of hypothesis are alternative, no, non-directional, and directional. An alternative hypothesis states that there is a relationship between the two variables being studied. So one variable has an effect on another variable. Your null hypothesis states that there is no relationship between two variables being studied. So one variable does not have any effect on the other. Initially, this will be something that you will need to be proving wrong or right. Non-directional is something that you should have a two-tailed non-directional hypothesis that predicts independent variable and to see if it has an effect on the dependent variable. But the direction of the effect is not specified, okay? And directional is normally one-tailed. It predicts the nature of the effects of the independent variable on the dependent variable. So examples, those are the examples that I've listed in this slide. I've given you them in here. Students will recall significantly more information on Monday morning than on Friday afternoon. That's an example of alternate hypothesis. A null hypothesis will be no significant difference in the amount of recalled on Monday morning compared to a Friday afternoon. Any difference will be due to chance or confounding factors. Non-directional would be a difference in how many numbers are correctly recalled by children and adults. And directional will be adults who correctly recall more words than children. And a key. This will probably be right beneath the methodology. It should be somewhere where your variables lie. Writing a key for your keywords is important as it shows your management skills. Every good research should have a keyword list where you must define and commonly use in your research. It will be edited as you go through your study. Now, this is with the pro tip I gave in the first lecture where you have to go back and forth. You do have to keep on going back and forth, especially of writing a keyword list. It should have most up-to-date definitions of words and abbreviations used. Now, common pitfalls to avoid in your introduction are basically background information, unnecessary background information, exaggerating the importance of the work, and failing to make it clear to the reader. Now, population and sample. First, you need to understand the difference between a population and a sample and identify the target population of your research. So you need to understand the difference between the population and sample. Population is the entire group that you want to draw your conclusion about, and a sample is basically a specific group of individuals that you collect data from. And sampling. This is something that some of you might be required to do and others not much so. Defining your sample size is a good technique to use, but it shouldn't be required from a lot of you. Okay, it's basically there to define your target population. It can be calculated from a formula or even a software that you can input some data in. Now, the most common sampling methods used in qualitative research is purposive sampling and quota sampling, and also obviously snowball sampling. The probability sampling means that every member of a population has a chance of being selected. It is mainly used in quantitative research. And I have some of the examples of probabilistic and non-probabilistic sampling here in this slide. Now, what is inclusive and exclusive criteria? So you should have to be able to define an inclusive and exclusive criteria for a sample. Inclusive criteria has attributes of a subject that are essential for the selection to participate. Now, this includes, like, for example, a checklist, a fitness or menstrual cycle phase, or the use of oral contraceptives, risk of certain disease states, or tobacco use, no prior exercise within the 24 hours. So this is basically your checklist or requirements. The exclusive criteria responds of subjects that are required for their removal or as subjects. For example, failure to adhere to the pre-test requirements, infection, or evidence of altered training or fitness. Now, variables. A lot of students actually still don't understand the difference between an independent variable and a dependent variable. An independent variable is the cause and the dependent variable is effect. So if you can see on the right-hand side, I have a flow chart. If you apply the different levels of independent variables, you have an effect and its cause. So level 1 is new medication and blood pressure lowers is basically the dependent variable that you'll be depending on. It's something that you'll be measuring. And now control group. The control group, sometimes called a comparison group, is used in an experimental as a way to ensure that your experiment actually works. Types of research. Primary medical research. Medical research is classified mainly into 3 broad categories: basic, clinical, and epidemiological. Now, basic is then, so I've subdivided this into 3 sections. Your first being basic, second being clinical, and third being epidemiological. Now, basic is then divided into applied and theoretical. Applied research aims to solve problems such as treating a particular disease that is under investigation, and theoretical approaches are used to develop methods which underpin the other types of research is used to explain concepts in physics, chemistry, and biology. And interventional and observational, that's in clinical, which was the second part, by the way. Clinical trials are defined by phases, with the first phase being the introduction of a new drug into the human population, consisting of 4 phases. And observational is the researcher does not seek to control any variables. Instead, the researcher just observes or to see an overlook of period of time. So this is something a lot of students will be doing in their undergraduate, because it's the most easiest and simplest form of research to carry out. Interventional. These studies explore changes in health or disease outcomes after the introduction of a specified intervention. For example, the effect of adding fluoride to drinking water was studied through interventional epidemiological studies in the United States in the 1940s. Now, observational is classified then into cohort, case studies, cross-sectional, ecological monitoring, surveillance, and descriptive with registry data. And that's obviously something that's very in-depth, and I don't think it's needed for you guys to know. This is just an overview. Now, a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is commonly used in project management. It's one of the most popular and useful ways of showing activities, tasks, or events displayed against time. It's usually in a chart format. So on the left of the chart, you have a list of activities, and along the top is the suitable time scale that you should be able to cover that in. Thank you very much for listening to the second series. I will see you all again in the third series of the lecture.
Thank you so much, Amna. Thank you so much for this. अच्छा गाइस, देखो बिल्कुल ही सिंपल वे में, बड़े कंप्रीहेंसिव और कंसाइज वे में आमना आपके साथ डिस्क्राइब कर रही है, ठीक है। आप लोगों ने बस ये वीडियो सुननी है, आपको सारा कंप्लीट आइडिया हो जाएगा। बाकी टेलीमेडिसिन ईडीयू के जो जूम सेशंस होंगे, आप लोग वो ज्वाइन करें अगर आप रिसर्च टीम का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं या रिसर्च अपनी कंडक्ट करवाना चाहते हैं एज ए मेडिकल स्टूडेंट्स। वी आर हेयर टू सपोर्ट यू पीपल, वी आर हेयर टू असिस्ट यू पीपल। आमना अनवर एंड हर टीम, टेलीमेडिसिन ईडीयू रिसर्च टीम विल obviously assist you throughout your paper publications in any journal of world, especially in Pakistan and especially in UK, because she's UK investor also. So thank you, Amna, for this. Good luck, best wishes.
Thank you so much.
Allah Hafiz.